I'm always a student, you know, and for me to teach what I know is, like, do I know it all? Like, I don't. And I have to, and being reminded of that and humbled every time I'm going to be doing it. It is a challenge that I'm willing to take up. So it's a different challenge of a different part of my life.
And welcome to another episode of AotB Sessions. Today, we are joined by Natalie, a multidisciplinary artist and events coordinator?
Yes.
I had to make sure. I know it was event something, so just double checking.
Yeah.
And you're being joined by a special guest as well, right?
Yeah, a special guest is my partner, Nick, who is a photographer and an artist in his own right.
Awesome.
So double the fun.
Yeah, exactly. And we were talking before we recorded that next time we'll try to sync up, and then we'll if you're more than welcome to come back, that we can definitely do it again. But I just want to thank you once again for joining us. And first, I want to congratulate you recently on all the different workshops that you've been having. I know that it's been nonstop, where I think you had like 3 or 4 recently that it was just like back to back to back.
Yeah. So I run Sketchboard community. That's something that I've been doing for over 8.5 years here in the San Francisco Greater Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And I've done some off events from that, like doing trans art modeling, and then some like BIPOC art modeling as well. Mm-hmm. And hosting those events and holding space for people like that.
Oh, nice.
And those demographics, because I also identify as queer. Mm-hmm. And my pronouns are they and them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I've had 5, almost 6 events now this whole year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's always nerve-wracking for some reason, even though I've done it for so long. I was telling somebody earlier today that I just get this like stage right feeling every time. And yeah, just it's amazing every time. I'm like, oh wow, that was easy every time.
Yeah. I think that's always the thing too, is like when you're hosting or going to any event, that just the nerves of just getting it ready, but then by the time it's in motion or done, then you're just like, oh, okay, it's done at that point.
Yeah. Just got to get over that peak.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us again. And did you want to give us a brief history? I know you kind of did already, but a brief history of how you started in your professional art career.
So I was living in LA. That's where I'm born and raised, in Compton. And then I moved out here 8.5 years ago from San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles. Uh-huh. And there I studied art a little bit at the Art Institute over in North Hollywood. Dropped out, as most people do. Yeah. And just found, was just trying to find community, because I just felt like it was really sparse out in LA. Mm-hmm. And I was really attracted to illustration and graphic design and figure drawing as well. So I was seeking that out. Felt like it was too much to go anywhere just to drive or anything. So I moved out to San Francisco because that's something that I've always wanted to do, and just fell in love with the city and like the views and the people, and just found my community slowly and surely. One of my old roommates showed me a figure drawing event out here, which was Sketchboard. And at the time, someone was leaving who also organized Sketchboard as well. Yeah. So I hopped in, and I'm like, I've always wanted to do this, and I feel like I have something I can offer, to this community. And so here I am 8.5 years later with that venture.
Mm-hmm. What kind of influences were there for you when you were in LA, and I guess your general like art influences overall?
General influences would be like Big Mike. He is a tattoo artist and a graphic designer and a graffiti artist as well. Mm-hmm. And Diego Rivera. Yeah. And I think his work is impeccable as far as doing big figure drawings and big pieces, highlighting our general Central Southern American history and such. And Dali is also another one, Salvador Dali. Love him. And Tina Lugo, who is a tattoo artist, and her line work is great. I learned about her through Instagram.
Oh, nice.
Kind of how everybody finds out each other, right? But her work is also erotic and like queer based as well. And she is originally from Brooklyn, so that's someone that I identify with closely as well. And I think those are the core, like my core influences. Maybe Alex Pardee. He's also from the Bay as well. Nice. Dang. I'd point out some more. What's her name? Julian Evelyn or something like that. She's also a figurative artist and does like these really amazing color palettes that are very easy and digestible and attractive, because she does like little ones to big ones, and she's recently going to the world of ceramics as well. So that's something that intrigues me and inspires me as an artist to continue finding out new mediums and working with them. So that's definitely something that I'm hoping to do within this year, is to add both of my loves and create something out of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna ask you that, if from those influences, were any of them were you taking any inspiration from them when you start incorporating their styles or your styles into the artwork that you start making with any of those mediums, I guess? Yeah.
So with Tina Lugo, I can say that I saw her doing some glass work, like drawing on glass with like enamel paints and then with acrylic as well. Yeah. And that kind of requires you to think backwards. Oh, okay. Kind of like block printing a little bit. Yeah. And you basically draw on one side. I've seen her process. She would draw an enamel paint on one side with a pen, and on the other side, she would do like the full on color blocks, and then be able to go on each side and see where she messed up, and like get some turpentine or like water, and just like be able to fix the mistakes around it. Yeah. And I just found that process alone to be beautiful and a challenge, and that's something that I've always considered taking up as a challenge artistically. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I never knew what went into that process, and yeah, that sounds like really cool. Like I kind of want to go into and just watch YouTube videos or just see how people go about doing that process in itself.
Yeah, I just recently became friends with a really good sign painter named Fernando, also. Not you. But one of our mutual friend, Fern, San Francisco Signs, a shout out. He actually was just at the SF MoMA, and he did a whole 3 stories of bathrooms for the SF MoMA Art Bash recently. Oh, nice. And his work is very detailed, and I've seen how he works, and it's kind of in a similar way where he has to like paint the outline on the front and then go on the other side of the window and just like do the color blocks and stuff. But you have to be really precise, and there's time limits and time crunches to everything, to each project. But just seeing him and his work ethic is very inspiring. Yeah. And now that I'm in the Bay, I've cultivated this community of artists around me, and I'm able to take influences from other people. Now, those artists that I've said earlier were my main influences growing up, but I think has expanded beyond that as you grow older. So definitely he's one of my favorites for sure. And I think Julia Evelyn is also another one. She's a contemporary or figurative. So that's what I would call her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask you, since, you're trying out so many different things from before and trying new things, how do you kind of balance that? Where is it more, I guess this is just also a question that I'm curious about, how do you kind of balance that between when you're working on one thing and then your interests kind of peak and want to try out something different? Do you kind of put something on the back burner for a little bit and then come back to it later? Or do you give like 25% effort with this and 50% effort with that? Or how do you split your time when you try out different disciplines?
That's a really neat question. I am all over the place. Yeah. There's no science or the math equation to this. Yeah. But a lot of I have a lot of paintings. Well, I have one big painting that I started that I think more than a quarter of the way in. And I put that on the back burner for now because that's something that I already have, like the preliminary drawing and painting on my iPad, and then transferring it to this like 60 by 60 canvas. And it's of a brown woman riding on a bumblebee. I'm really ecstatic about it because it's something that I haven't done for myself in a while. Yeah. That's on the back burner. And then also making rugs is a messy project. That's something I've been putting on the back burner, but I already have like yarn for it. And I have like all of these sketches, and I have sketches on sketches and ideas, and just like being sit on and like work in progress pile. Things I can always get back to because those are more like experimental and for me, and I'll get to it later. But more prints, I've been doing a lot more of like, again, like sketches I've done over the years. So I'll just go through stuff and I'm like, I really want to do like a block print, or I'm going to like do like a new painting or something. And I just go through sketches and then, but like I usually get into periods where I'm like obsessed with it and I see it through finish to the end. And then ring making too, like I'll get inspired, or like someone will commission me for a ring. My friend just commissioned me for like an engagement ring recently that I'm really stoked about. It's going to be like gold with tourmaline. This is like a black gemstone, and that's going to be really great because the last 2 rings I made one for my friend's wedding, and then just a really close friend that really inspired me deeply. Yeah, I just kind of like try to see what like I'm deeply inspired by at the moment and give my energy to that, and then produce it out, and then like either sell it or just like show it at a gallery or something. I have a few paintings that I've just been sitting on and waiting to show at a gallery, but you know, when the time is right, I'll go gung-ho on it. But for now, there's no equation that when I feel deeply about something, I'll act upon it. Right. And right now it's like a block print that I've been slowly working on that I really want to make into a print. And I usually pass it off to Nick to make me prints because he also has a print shop. Oh, nice. And so I work, we're kind of collaborative on that note. And then modeling, that's something that I always pick up and on and off. I'm also like an art model. So I do a lot of like erotic modeling or just like regular modeling. And that's something I don't really pursue. People just come up to me and ask me to collaborate, which is also something that that I love doing, is collaborating with other artists on different projects and such. So yeah, again, things pop up, you know, and I take it as I go, and then we make something and then it's created later. And then, or I'll just make something and see through it to the end and then like put it out in the world. Just taking things and saying yes, and they're saying no. And it's always feeling a lot like more, I've been thinking about this lately, just like more saying no to my own projects and then taking on collaborative projects, but also seeing the benefit of me doing my own projects and seeing them through. So right now the block printing is a personal project, but those always feel a lot better and they're a lot more time consuming, but eventually it's going to get done and I'll have a new print soon because I've been doing these limited edition prints of my sketches. I did one where it says "We will dance again," and it's more of like a quick sketch of like me reminiscing on like being on a dance floor and like seeing people and just like admiring the like sea of people and dancing and sweating. And I remember just being in the pandemic and just missing that and crying. And I'm like, I want to be sweated on by other people again. I want that. I want to hear the music blasting, and I can't hear you after. That's and so that's what I kind of feel when I'm going into pieces and creating pieces. Like, what's the feeling behind this, and
how's the moment feeling and everything.
And it's always interesting to hear how other people interpret that for my pieces as well. And I also have another, like I said, I do erotic illustrations, and I had one before that. It's called Worship Validate, and it's like a woman getting head from some guy. But I did that one on block printing too, and before that I did that just by sketching, and that's just like how I want to be seen or how I want to be felt, and like other people see it in different forms. And I've done that iteration of that sketch and like painting and then block printing and then sketching again. So again, like forcing myself to see my work in different mediums, and it's interesting to work with that. And to always try to challenge myself onto the next medium.
Hello. We hope you're enjoying the conversation so far. Want to listen to the podcast on the go? We're also available on all popular podcast platforms. Links available in the episode description. Thanks again, and let's jump back into the chat.
Awesome. Well, I think that's the best transition I could have asked for with everything is Sketchboard. 8 years and running. How has that pretty much been? Like, I know we were talking about earlier about just communities in general. How has that been for you after all these years of just working with folks and also just being involved with the community at that point?
Man, it feels pretty damn awesome sometimes. I'm just reminded of how great the community is receptive to this project, and people see the amount of work that I put into it, which I feel like it's not a lot sometimes, but maybe that's just me talking myself down with my own work. And people ask me to model all the time, and it's great. Like now I have a plethora of folks that I can choose from of all diversities. I do prioritize trans and non-binary folks and people of color as well to model for my events as someone, again, who identifies as queer and a person of color. That's really important for me in making these spaces safe and inclusive, and also making it affordable. Accessibility is really big for me, and choosing the venues that are accessible for folks who have disabilities or physical restrictions. And I really do go far and beyond, because that's what I want. And any situation, I want people to make sure that, like, if my back's hurt, like, you know, like I need a pillow, or I need, like, you know, a support, or like it's too hot, or you need water, or like someone's harassing you, you know. I think about every single little thing that would happen to me, and over the course of the 8 years that has happened in like some respect or another. Having models sign photo releases, making sure, you know, like my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted. And then having musicians with it as well. I think that's like one of the aspects, is like that's another form of art, to include that, and people appreciate that. And I've met so many musicians that would want to play for me. Like I had Nick's homegirl, Cherry, who's a DJ, come play for my event last time. And she's a vinyl DJ. She's been doing it for like 4 or 5 years or something like that. But she's a great playlist, like great choices of music. And I just like love inviting different kinds of people, and, you know, sharing that that once a month experience with them, and making sure, you know, we were on the same page and collaborative, and always checking in. And it's the the hospitality of me, of like also working in customer service, but that's something that I want to do. That's something that I want to keep promoting, as a safe environment for folks to come and feel warm and feel like they can create together. And it is a special place to create together, and no one's going to judge you, you know, if like it doesn't look like a figure drawing, or if like you're, you know, you're doing collage work, or like some people like to bring charcoal and like, you know, focus on like the ears or like the nose or something. And that's fine. Like, I don't care. Do you? Like, I'm just happy that you're here, and that like I'm promoting, you know, for you to network with other people. And, you know, who knows if like people would have had access to that space before, because that's something that I didn't have access to. And if I didn't have access to it, I just said, fuck it. Like, why don't I create that space for others too, that I really want to see? And I'm just glad that it's being appreciated, you know, for almost a decade.
I think it's like how you mentioned before, where you just kind of find things on Instagram or YouTube now and stuff. And I think that's what it was, where I just found you and your page, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I had no clue that this was even around or available in the city, for it to have that really cool mix of art and then music that I think I've probably seen one or the other, but nothing combined like that. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's really special. And everything that you just mentioned, it does just seem like it's open to everybody at that point.
Yeah, and yeah, like the last event we just had on Friday, we had like 25 people come out.
Nice.
And the folks at Syzygy Co-op, which is like art co-op that we're part of in the city, a bunch of us just got together and like leased a warehouse over on 15th and Van Ness, and we hold different events there. And that's something that I'm a staple of at that co-op, is that I'll hold art events, and I'm that's like the first of many things that I'm going to start holding there now that the pandemic is like slowly weaning off. So navigating that through the pandemic has been rough, because at first when I came back, it was like mask only, vaccinations, I had to go the extra step forward. Before it was like, I felt like it was a lot of work. Now it was just like extra work, just making sure while in the midst of like the outbreaks that we're making sure that everybody's safe and that I'm safe. And, you can't really control everything, especially with the like biological warfare that we're having on our bodies.
Right.
And that's not a conspiracy theory at all, but it's, lots of layers to consider. And you can't really prevent everything. And that's something that I have to let go of every time that I do these events, that I can only control so much, but it's just my response to what happens. And luckily a lot of bad things have happened, but I can continue down that road. But it's just interesting hurdles to go through. And people, I am trying to find sponsorships and like grants now that have been doing this for so long to support Sketchboard. And that's something that I really want to seek out, is just to have my dream is just have like it paid, like have the models well paid, have the musicians paid, have the venues paid, and hopefully me get paid, because I don't get paid for this at all. I just do it because I really love to. I love drawing people, and I love getting people together, and it makes me happy.
I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day, is your happiness and just the happiness of people who are supporting those kind of programs and everything. Is it just at that location, or do you do it at different locations?
So I have 2 locations.
Oh, okay.
So there's Syzygy, which is like a smaller event, and then at Monument is the bigger event where it holds. Syzygy can hold up to like 30 people, like 25 I feel like is pushing it, 30 it's really pushing it. But over at Monument, we hold up to 35 to 65 people.
Oh, nice.
When we first came back in March this year, we had like around like 60 people that came out the first event, and it was amazing.
Awesome.
And we usually have some artists, like one of my friends, really good friends, BC. He's an African musician and R&B, pop, soul, amazing. And he normally comes out and plays, and just beautiful. Plays the bass, the piano, he does it all, sings, and just serenaded us through with Sonia and what's her name? I forgot that model's name. Forgive me.
We'll make sure to add it in the post credits.
Well, forgive me. It starts with a kid. They're also an art teacher too, but they're trans. And it was just beautiful to have folks like come out and just like draw everybody. I just invited this other artist too that I met off the street at the Blondie's art pop-up. Blondie's is a bar in San Francisco, and they'll occasionally have some art pop-ups on Mondays, and Nick was a part of it. And I met an artist there who was just like painting figures there, and I was like, hey, why don't you come down to Sketchboard sometime and draw with a bunch of artists? Just like that too, just like come on down.
Exactly the same conversation.
And he came right the fuck down and has been coming to the past 2 Sketchboards, and does like these incredible I want to say, like, who's that dude who does oh my god, with the Johnny Depp where he's on Vegas, Gonzo, Ralph Steadman, the artist. So he has like a Ralph Steadman like type of art, like very like it's loose, like it doesn't really, you can see the figure, but it's like it's just like craziness, and it's great. I love it, and his use of light and use of colors is amazing. and just seeing him like on the watercolor and just like plein airing it is amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I made a new friend that way.
Awesome.
And it's just, it's nice to be able to bond and share my passions with other people who also enjoy watching folks and being able to redo that on their own scale. And he gave me a piece of art the other day and I was really excited about it. His name is Deep Thoughts on Instagram, and yeah, just an amazing artist and I love his work. Yeah. And then one of my other friends, Jeff Lance, Illustrations on Instagram. He is a concept artist for a video game company.
Nice.
I forget which one, but he does these really great, cartoon illustrations that really do look like the figure itself, and just adds his own twist to it as well. And it's so clean and so graphic like, because he's a concept artist. He needs to be.
Right.
So it's amazing just to think about all the artists that just come through. And then my friend Ozzy, who also has painted me a few times and uses me as his muse, also comes out and he does a bunch of like Marvel characters and superheroes, and has done so many like huge paintings to small paintings. And his Instagram's under Feodome, and he's also a fellow Salvadorian as well.
Oh, awesome! Yeah.
So we bonded over that, and I met him at our when Flax was in San Francisco long ago.
Yeah.
That's how long I've been in San Francisco. And that was meeting him and just bonding on that was great. Being able to work at a art stores was really something for me. Being able to be exploring all of these different artists and how they do their work. And I think that's why I stayed in San Francisco for so long. So I was just able to put my knee into the waters of all the community and the art.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to cover this, where I saw that you recently started teaching as well. So I think you're doing figure drawing and also like a sculpture class, right?
Yeah, I'm actually starting tomorrow.
Oh, wow. There we go.
I've been kind of like talking about it, not really, just because I'm super nervous about it. But it's a new adventure that I'm embarking on, and I'm really excited. It's a figurative sculpting class over in the Sunset at Sunset Communal Arts over on 25th and Irving. And it's going to be 6 to 8:30 on Tuesdays. And it's around 10 to 15 people, around 10 people signed up, God bless.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a live model that I get to choose every month. So this month is going to be Double. She's a plus size model and Black and from the East Bay. And
nice.
I love her. I just love her body. And we don't really get to see that kind of body size in sculptures. So that's where I wanted to highlight a lot of difference, and also take like the reins of making space for people that we don't see. Again, hiring trans and hiring, Black people of color and Indigenous people, and just everybody. Any people who I identify with are going to be modeling at this sculpture class. And I'm really excited to have another space that's inviting to the table and able to organize these kinds of events. So yeah, I've always wanted to do clay, and I'm so it just excites me. I'm just so juiced for life right now. I'm fucking juiced, and I can't wait to share my energy and my knowledge so far, and to continue learning, with the mistakes and everything, because it's my first time, and I made a curriculum, and
that's awesome.
It was my first time doing that, and I just can't wait for tomorrow, because I'm just going to be in the zone and creating with new people, and just handling a new experience, and just going full on in, just diving right in. And I can't wait to see where that takes me, because that's just a beginning. Yeah,
exactly. How did you kind of get that into motion? Like, what kind of led up to that of you going into that space?
Man, I got it. So again, Instagram. Goddamn. Nice. Someone just found me off Instagram, and they I actually knew this person through the Artillery Gallery in the Mission, and they used to do the clay shops there a few years back before COVID. And then they remembered me, and they followed me on Instagram and have been stalking me, as you say, with my sketchboard adventures. And then they're just seeing how much passion and the love I put into it, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, we held the meeting. And he's like, how about, like, I saw that you don't really get paid for this. Like, how would you like to get paid for, like, doing a class, like, here at the community space? I'm thinking, like, a clay class, and then we can do a figure drawing class, you know, eventually do metalsmithing class and just, like, teach what you know. And I'm like, it's real beautiful, man. I don't know what to say. Yes. So, it's my friend Matt, who's a clay artist, and then invited me to the space, and I'm very beyond grateful for this opportunity. Because like I said, it's just the beginning, because I feel like I never can really consider myself a teacher or like an instructor of sorts. But, you know, looking back at, like, I've taught some bachelorette parties, I've taught like online Zoom figure drawing before. And I guess, like, just people want me to teach, and and I just feel like I'm always I always have something to learn. I'm just never at the I'm always a student, you know. And for me to teach what I know is like, do I know it all? Like, I don't, and I have to being reminded of that and humbled every time I'm going to be doing it. It is a challenge that I'm willing to take up. So it's a different challenge of a different part of my life. And yeah, I just can't wait to begin and show everybody what I have.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's always the advice that I always give to people who want to get into something or just start something new, is that the first step is literally just to do it. Because I think at that point, there's kind of no turning back, because even if it goes well or doesn't go well, you're always going to gain some kind of experience doing it. I also saw that you did or were a part of so many different galleries. I wasn't sure if that was part of like the event organizer part of it, or actually participating in it. How did that kind of
So I actually participate as an artist as well in a lot of galleries. Right now I have 3 submissions to 3 different zines. Just recently, on top of, you know, being invited to this as well. And then just working on some of the block prints and stuff right now for any future shows that I'd like to be a part of, because Nick and I are really connected with a lot of the SF artist scenes, and we know a lot of people holding a lot of shows, and that's again, like, connecting with community and being able to show what I have, because I always feel like I'm always organizing stuff and always doing that, like the background man for all of that. But I'm always being reminded that I need to, like, I'm also an artist too, and I need to keep showing my work and like what I'm doing. And that's where I do snippets of, like, this is what I'm working on, like, this is the block print I'm working on, this is the sculpture that I'm working on, this is the painting that I'm working on, and this is the jewelry that I'm working on. I'm working at it all at the same time. Who knows? Just guess. Was it taken yesterday? It was taken 3 months ago. I don't know.
Time, especially now with time, you have no clue at that point. Yeah.
So I'm again all over the place. Yeah. So yeah, I do all those galleries that you saw on my site. I've been showing work in all of them, and luckily a lot of people have bought prints or like original paintings from me. A lot of friends have bought paintings from me, and yeah, it's a blessing to be commissioned for a lot of work and for future works as well. Yeah. And for different mediums, like if it's not. I've done one for my friend for their wedding, and then a painting for a wedding, and now I'm doing their like engagement ring. Yeah. It's crazy, and it's really nice to be part of these sentimental moments of people's lives.
Yeah. That's awesome, and they'll cherish it forever at that point too. Awesome. Well, I definitely want to be respectful of your time, so I guess leading perfectly into that segue. What would you say are some of your personal favorite projects that you've worked on, either individually or collaborative in that case?
Wow.
I know you just listed everything, so I know that's even harder.
Yeah, I'm like, but what's my favorite though? Yeah. Geez, I'll have to like go through the Rolodex of time.
Yeah.
Gosh, wow. I'll take.
I mean, if we need to do another hour, it's fine.
Well, I will say doing a ring for my friend, like getting married for my friend Sophia, who got married in January. I have these opal rings, and they're all like natural stones. So I didn't. This is like a cabochon right here, if you can see that. But this is a jasper landscape stone, and then this is silver, like sterling silver around it. And for her, I did the same thing, sterling silver, but I have an opal that I bought from Australia. And then I was able to like do a bevel on it and do something simple and make it all gaudy looking and like get a rotary machine and do like some designs on it. That was my favorite because I took a lot of time and like a lot of effort and like and it was like, it just so happened when I had COVID too, and I was like, "What am I gonna do? Yeah. What am I gonna put my energy in?" And I was gonna see her in the next like 4 weeks after that, and I was like, "All right, haven't started this yet. What better time than now?"
Yeah, exactly.
Put all of my energy, like every frustration, every love for her and everything, just all into that piece, and then she thoroughly enjoyed that, and that was my favorite project from that, and then. I've done some murals with some folks back in LA. I did one for the Green Day play that they had in LA. Nice. Yeah, with my cousin's boyfriend, who's also a muralist as well. So I was able to work on him with that and get paid for that. Didn't mention that in my resume, my CV, but I was like, that was so long ago, it doesn't need to be mentioned. It was just like a one-off thing. But that was, remembering about that was my favorite.
Awesome.
Honestly.
Yeah.
What else? I think that's it for now. I'm sure there'll be more. There'll be more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I always just kind of ask that question for everyone, and I know it's always like hard to really break it down, especially like when you kind of go across your different careers and different eras. That it's kind of hard to backtrack, but that's really awesome that with everything going on and now going into the teaching world, that you're pretty much opening a new avenue and a new journey for yourself. That best of luck to you with that. And I know based on everything that you've done so far, that's also going to be an invention either way it goes at that point. So awesome. Cool. Did you have any, I know we kind of did a lot of plugs, but did you have any other plugs or shout outs that you want to give to folks out there?
Oh man, shout out to big guy up there. Shout out to Nick for being my partner. Shout out to the SF art community. Shout out to Syzygy Co-op. Who else? I think that's it. I think it's all my shout outs.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, like I'll definitely make sure to put, I'll probably sync up with you to make sure that we get everybody's like information, and then I'll put in like all the video descriptions and everything. So that way folks know where to find all these things.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an open book. I feel like I have a lot of resources, so I'm willing to share.
Awesome.
And I feel like that should always be the case with everybody. Like what we have as artists and our certain privileges should be distributed, you know, especially if people want to know and people want to be educated about different things. So thank you for doing this podcast and like enlightening a lot of people about the different avenues that they can go down.
Yeah. No, I think that was why I wanted to bring you on as well, because for me, just to know about this new space, I feel like there's a lot of people who would benefit from this, not only just established artists, but people who are just getting their foot in the door in any aspect, like just wanting to sketch or wanting to network with other people just to see like what's available. So I think this community that you've been a part of really represents that, and I think it's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll definitely see what we can do with Nick here. I would love to bring you aboard again for another episode, and just to kind of get your backstory and your history with everything. But I want to thank you both for making the time to come out here. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Yeah.
Awesome. Alrighty. And thanks for everyone who tuned in, and we will see you next time. Woo! Take care.
Thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and other social platforms to catch new episodes and updates. Want to learn more about the items and music featured in this episode? Links available in the episode description. Thanks again for listening, and take care.